Well, thank you very much. My first observation is that it is right that the pay packet of judges should go up because prices are going up. So there's nothing surprising in that. I also think that a 300% increase, it's something, but it could be a bit more. So there's no question about whether it should be there or not. Then concerning the minimum wage of 70,000, if you look at the value of the currency at the time, it was 30,000, and you look at the value of the currency today, you may discover that the worker who is earning 70,000 now is actually earning less when you convert it to dollars. But those are not the issues on the table. The primary concern, I think, is at two levels. At one level, it refers to the need to ensure that judicial officers are sufficiently and properly remunerated, but beyond that, that they also find a more conducive work environment wherein they can perform. And this should build up to a situation where you look at them and you look at their colleagues from other parts or in the other parts of the world, and you tell yourself that, yes, this is really what the judiciary should be like. So those are some of the challenges on the table. The matter of increase, let's not over-dramatize it, because if you would over-dramatize it, the question that one may be constrained to ask is, should their pay not really have gone up by about 900%? When you consider the number, there are not too many of them. When you consider the workload, is one of the most stressful. And when I say stressful, because proceedings are going on, as every lawyer, whether prosecution or defense, is speaking, the judge is writing what you're saying word for word. When any witness is talking, the judge is writing word for word in longhand. The same thing goes with judgment, the long sitting hours, the limited support services. In some of the courts, like Abarami has said, there's no air conditioning, the space is small. So while we must, if you like, commend the federal government for doing what is long overdue and for being sensitive enough, because if you look around, you'll notice that the government is actually progressively touching on some of these overlooked things. So that's a plus. That means that government is, say, paying attention. So we first commend the government for this necessary, even if overdue step. Then we point out that hopefully in a very short time from now, it should be further reviewed. Because you're talking about that arm of government that ultimately is the validating authority for even the constitution of the country. The National Assembly can make any law. The executive can come out with any order. You may even have provisions of the constitution, but if the judiciary says this is it, there is no other recourse. That's the final voice. That's the last arbiter. That's, if you like, the ultimate autocrat in a democracy. And it needs the leverage that will oblige it to focus on what it needs to do without worrying about its own logistics. So it's a good development. And that's, yeah, it's a good development. Then you come to the question of, back to the minimum wage thing. What do we really mean by a minimum wage? Also, what do we mean by workers? I think greater realism should be brought to bear on the conversation about workers and minimum wage. I know for a fact that we don't have up to 3,000 workers out of more than 250 million people. And when I say the workers, in using these terms, we overlook the fact that a man working in a farm behind your house is a worker, that the bulk of the workers anywhere in the world fall within what you call the informal sector. So when we use the index of government-paid workers to determine not only minimum wage, but especially because of its effect on inflation, I don't know whether we are helping ourselves. It's also time to review for states and the federal government to review their wage bills. If a state government is spending 30%, and that's being quite generous, on wages and salaries, would it be correct to say that the state is generating 30% of its revenue from those workers? You come to a state, probably the population of workers is, let's even be so generous, 200,000, and the population of the state is 4 million. That's official, recorded government workers who are taxable. And when you say there's a wage problem, their salary, the state grinds to a halt. The point to note and why the issue is important is that they have fixed pay. And their fixed pay does not respond to inflation. So when people express concern about minimum wage, they have a point. I'm earning 50,000. I used to spend 3,000 on fuel. Now I spend 9,000 on fuel and my salary hasn't gone up. It's obvious, so it will affect me in many other ways. It could lead to me not paying school fees or rent, or not being able to deal with hospital bills. So 2 quick things on the table before I stop. The salary increment for judicial officers is very good, particularly the judges. National minimum wage, yes, it's good. It has moved from where it used to be, but I believe it can go higher. But beyond going higher, if prices are coming down and productivity is increasing, the negative impact of the current minimum wage will not be so bad. It is because there's limited productivity, less goods in the market, less security everywhere, that the issue of I want more cash, which may not translate into purchasing power. That's why that has become the issue at the moment.